Right now, salt sits quietly on every kitchen table, so common we barely think about it. But for early humans, salt wasn't a seasoning. It was survival. So when did humans first realize they needed it? And when did they start deliberately seeking it out? Here's the biology. The human body cannot function without sodium. It regulates fluid balance, nerve signals, and muscle function. Without enough salt, the body simply breaks down. Early humans didn't need to understand the chemistry to feel the consequences. For the earliest hunter-gatherers, this wasn't actually a crisis. A diet built almost entirely around meat provides enough natural sodium on its own. Blood, organ meat, and muscle tissue all carry salt, meaning for a heavily meat-based diet, deliberate salt-seeking may not have been necessary at all. Some anthropologists believe this is exactly why direct evidence of early salt use is so hard to find. Hunter-gatherers eating mostly meat simply didn't need to go looking for it. Their food was already doing the job. Everything changed with farming. As diets shifted toward grains, vegetables, and dairy, foods naturally low in sodium, that built-in salt supply disappeared. Suddenly, for the first time in human history, people needed to actively seek salt out from somewhere else. The earliest confirmed evidence of humans deliberately producing salt dates back roughly 8,000 years to Neolithic settlements in what's now Romania, where archaeologists found the remains of salt processing sites near natural brine springs. This makes salt production one of the very first specialized industries in human history. These early producers relied on naturally salty springs, water that had passed through underground salt deposits, emerging already rich in sodium. All they had to do was find it and figure out how to concentrate it. That process, called briquettage, involved boiling salty spring water in simple clay vessels over fire, evaporating the water until only crystallized salt remained. It was slow, fuel-intensive work, but it turned a scattered natural resource into something that could be stored, carried, and traded. On the other side of the world, entirely independently, ancient Chinese communities were doing something remarkably similar. At a site called Zhongba, archaeologists found evidence of salt production stretching back around 5,000 years, using pottery specifically shaped for boiling brine, developed with no contact between the two regions. Back in southeastern Europe, the settlement of Solnitsata, near modern-day Provadia in Bulgaria, grew directly around a productive salt spring, and some archaeologists argue it may be one of the oldest known town-like settlements in Europe, its entire existence built around a single valuable resource. Not all salt came from boiling water, though. In the mountains near Hallstatt, Austria, ancient miners tunneled directly into massive underground rock salt deposits, some of the earliest deep mining operations in human history, work so extensive it gave an entire prehistoric culture its name. As salt became more valuable, it began functioning almost like money. Roman soldiers were sometimes partially paid in salt, or given an allowance to buy it. The origin, many historians believe, of the word salary itself, from the Latin word for salt. Entire trade networks grew around moving salt across long distances. In West Africa, massive camel caravans crossed the Sahara Desert, carrying slabs of rock salt, sometimes trading it literally pound for pound with gold, a resource so scarce in some regions it was worth its weight in precious metal. In ancient Egypt, salt played a role far beyond seasoning food. A naturally occurring salt compound called natron was central to mummification, used to dry out and preserve bodies for the afterlife, making salt, quite literally, part of how ancient Egyptians tried to defeat death itself. Rome built an entire road, the Via Salaria, literally the Salt Road, specifically to transport salt from coastal salt pans inland to the city. Salt wasn't a background commodity in the Roman world. It was infrastructure defining. Beyond seasoning and biology, salt unlocked something transformative: preservation. Salted meat and fish could last for months without spoiling, freeing communities from constant reliance on fresh food. This one discovery reshaped long-distance travel, military campaigns, and survival through lean seasons. Because it was so essential and so valuable, governments took notice. Salt taxes and state monopolies appeared across multiple ancient and medieval civilizations, from China to France. Control of salt meant control of a resource nobody could survive without, making it an extraordinarily effective, if resented, tool of power. Salt worked its way into culture and religion too, used in purification rituals, sealed into agreements as a symbol of a binding promise, and considered sacred enough in some traditions that spilling it was thought to bring bad luck. Sometimes control over salt escalated into open conflict. Salt taxes have sparked riots and rebellions across history. Most famously, centuries later, a 1930 salt march protested colonial-era salt taxation in India, turning a simple mineral into a symbol of resistance. From a survival necessity hidden inside raw meat, to boiled brine and deep mountain mines, to currency, preservation, ritual, and rebellion. Salt's story is really the story of how something biologically essential became one of the most fought over, valuable, and quietly world-shaping resources in all of human history.